Why does this envelope smell like cedar? I muttered, tearing it open with one finger. The paper inside was stiff, cream-colored. Aunt Evelyn's scrawl ran across it like roots in dry soil. To my nephew. You always listened. So I leave you what listened to me, our land. My breath caught. No money. No jewelry. Just land. I stared at the deed stapled behind the letter. Will's Creek. 5 acres. My mother used to talk about it like it was some kind of sacred ground. 5 acres? I whispered. What the hell am I supposed to do with 5 acres? Still, 2 days later, curiosity drove me out there. Trees lined the edge of the road like sentinels. But the moment I turned down the gravel path, my stomach dropped. Bulldozers. Dump trucks. Hard hats. And a billboard. Coming soon, Willow Heights luxury condos. What the? I slammed the door shut and stormed toward the site. Hey! I shouted. This is private property. A guy in an orange vest looked up from his clipboard. Excuse me? This land belongs to my family. It was just left to me in a will. He squinted. You got papers? I have a deed. Then you better take it to the HOA. They're the ones paying us. I blinked. The HOA? Willow Heights HOA. Talk to them. We're just hired labor. I backed away slowly. The guy was already shouting something into a walkie-talkie, and 2 more workers came over, eyeing me like I'd parked on their front lawn. Back in the car, I clutched the letter in my lap like it could still explain things. Aunt Evelyn's land. Trees I'd climbed as a kid. The creek I once fell into chasing frogs. And now, condos? I called the number on the billboard. Willow Heights HOA office, a clipped voice answered. Hi, yes, I think there's been some kind of mistake. The land you're developing? It belongs to me. I just inherited it. Name? David Hart. A pause. Then typing. You'll need to schedule a meeting with President Flint. He handles boundary disputes. Boundary disputes? I laughed. This isn't a fence line issue. You're bulldozing my inheritance. Sir, please make an appointment. Click. I dropped the phone onto the passenger seat. My hands were shaking. They can't just take it, I said aloud. They can't just. The letter crinkled in my fist. I looked out at the bulldozers one more time. I don't know what you got me into, Evelyn, I whispered, but I'm not walking away. The smell of fresh-cut pine lingered in the air as if daring me to stay. So I did. Gregory Flint? I asked, stepping into the town center's glass office suite. The man behind the desk stood, extended his hand. Crisp suit. Cold smile. You must be David Hart. I'm here about the land on Will's Creek. My Aunt Evelyn left it to me. Ah yes, he said, waving me to sit. Evelyn. A colorful woman. Eccentric. Never much for paperwork. I dropped the will on his desk. This is legally binding. He barely glanced at it. Wills can be challenged. I leaned forward. You don't get to bulldoze private property. He folded his hands. The HOA acquired that parcel last year through community annexation. Annexation? I laughed. That's not even possible. The land isn't in your zone. Wasn't, he corrected. We've redrawn the boundaries under Article 9b. That article was voided 5 years ago. You sound sure of that. I am. He stood and walked over to a filing cabinet. Pulled out a large rolled-up map and spread it across the desk. Here. Willow Heights jurisdiction as of March this year. Your parcel's now part of the greater redevelopment project. Fully funded. Permits secured. Construction underway. I stared at the red line cutting through my aunt's land. You drew this. We passed it with a board vote. All above board. No notification. No hearings. Public notice was filed. If your aunt didn't respond, well. She was dying of cancer, I snapped. He shrugged. Unfortunate. But not legally relevant. You're stealing land. We're revitalizing the community. My family's been on that land for 4 generations. Progress isn't sentimental, he said. It's structural. My hands clenched. This isn't over. You're welcome to consult a lawyer. But the project breaks ground next month. I suggest you make peace with reality. I stood. You're going to regret pushing this. His smile didn't move. Have a nice day, Mr. Hart. Back in my car, I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. I opened the envelope again. Evelyn's will. Clear, direct. Her signature strong despite the date. The land was mine. But that map. Something was wrong with it. Too clean. Too recent. I unfolded the old survey I'd brought from the county clerk's office. Compared the borders. My parcel wasn't within HOA territory, at least not before. Then I spotted it. A date mismatch. Their updated map was signed 3 weeks before Evelyn's death. But the boundary change wasn't filed until 6 months later. Lying bastard, I muttered. I stared out the windshield toward Wills Creek. Okay, Greg. Let's see how far you'll go to fake the truth. And how far I'd go to fight it. I stared at the tire tracks, still fresh in the morning dew. They drove straight across the creek bed, I muttered. Didn't even try to hide it. My mailbox lay in pieces beside the road. Bent metal. Smashed post. Real subtle. I snapped a photo and texted Marie. Need to talk. Urgent. 20 minutes later, she slid into the booth across from me at Harlan's Diner. What happened? They're messing with me, I said, showing her the pictures. Tracks across the property. Mailbox crushed. No note. No accident. She frowned. Standard intimidation tactic. They've done it before. Anyone who resists. Others too? Marie nodded. 2 families out by Layton Ridge. One was a 90-year-old man. They called him a squatter. I leaned forward. But my name's on the deed. I've got the will. They don't care. It's about pushing until you break or sell. Not happening. She sipped her coffee. They're betting you don't have the time or money to fight. I looked her dead in the eye. You in? She smirked. You're lucky I hate bullies. Gregory's hiding something. That map was backdated. Then we dig, she said. Permits. Transfers. Zoning votes. We'll find where he crossed the line. They've buried the truth. Marie opened her laptop. Let's go shovel. That night, I parked near the creek and waited. My headlights off. My phone on video. At 1:17 a.m., a black pickup slowed near the entrance. Come on, make a move, I whispered. The truck revved, then peeled out. Cowards. Back home, I paced. The walls felt tight. My heart beat louder than the fridge hum. My phone buzzed. Marie, found something. HOA records from 2020. Doctored parcel list. I called her instantly. Doctored how? Your plot number was swapped out, reclassified as green space. They turned it into a public asset? On paper. But never filed with the county. It's a shell. I laughed bitterly. They faked it. And now they're building condos on a ghost. You've got leverage now. I've got fire. Marie's voice dropped. You sure you're ready for this? They can pave over a lot of things, I said, but they're not paving over Evelyn. She was quiet a beat. Then I'll see you in court. Does anyone even look at these books anymore? I muttered, brushing off a thick layer of dust. The courthouse archives smelled like mold and forgotten promises. You sure the deed's in here? I asked the clerk, who barely looked up. Third shelf from the bottom, ledger year 1947, he said, chewing gum like it was his full-time job. I knelt and flipped page after page, until I saw it. Got you, I whispered. The deed. Clear as day. Evelyn's family name, James Hart, 1947. 5 acres. Unincorporated. No HOA designation. I snapped a photo and bolted. At Marie's office, I tossed the photo onto her desk. Unincorporated, I said. Never annexed. She raised an eyebrow. Then what the hell is this? She pulled out a scan of the HOA's annexation form. Gregory's signature. Same parcel number. Look at the notary stamp, I said. It's from a bank in Charleston. Marie zoomed in. The bank closed 4 years ago. And the form's dated 5 years ago. She stared at the screen, then me. You're telling me the stamp is from a notary that didn't exist when the document was supposedly signed? Exactly. Gregory forged it. Marie's fingers flew over the keyboard. I need to confirm, but if you're right. It's fraud. Felony-level fraud, she said. This isn't a zoning error. This is criminal. Then let's bury them with the truth. Wait, she said, scrolling fast. You said Evelyn filed a will, right? Did she ever submit anything official refusing HOA inclusion? She hated those people. That's not legal grounds. I reached into my folder and pulled out a faded piece of paper. This is. Marie scanned it. Affidavit of non-participation. Notarized. County seal. Dated 7 years ago. Evelyn declared she would never join Willow Heights HOA. Filed with the property registrar, I said. Marie looked at me like I'd handed her a live grenade. David, this changes everything. I leaned back in the chair. We've got them. I need to get this to the DA. Do it, I said. But keep it quiet. Gregory's not going to play fair. She nodded. You planning to confront him? No. I'm planning to destroy him. Outside, I stood by the edge of the land, the pine trees casting long shadows across the dried grass. My fingers ran over the copy of Evelyn's affidavit. You kept your word, I whispered. Now it's my turn. The judge granted it? I asked, barely breathing. Marie nodded, grinning. 14-day emergency hold. All construction must stop immediately. I exhaled. First win. She handed me the stamped order. They'll hate this. As I stepped out of the courthouse, I spotted him, Gregory Flint, pacing near the flagpole. You're playing a dangerous game, he muttered, approaching. I'm enforcing the law. He leaned in. You're stirring trouble you don't understand. No, Gregory. I understand it just fine. You're used to no one fighting back. You won't last. I stepped closer. Neither will your lies. That evening, while taping a copy of the injunction to the oak by the creek, I heard footsteps. David, a soft voice called. I turned. Mrs. Langley? She hesitated. I heard what you did. They can't build for 2 weeks. Her eyes watered. My son got fined $300 for painting his mailbox blue. They fined him? They said it violated the HOA color scheme. He's 9. I blinked. That's absurd. They scared us all into silence. But maybe not anymore. The next morning, there were notes on my windshield. Thank you. You're not alone. About time someone stood up to them. At Harlan's, I couldn't eat. People kept walking by, whispering. A man tapped my shoulder. You're the guy fighting Flint? Yes. He leaned in. They booted my grandma from her house. Called it non-compliant. She'd lived there 30 years. I stared. They evicted her? He nodded. Said her porch swing was a hazard. Then they tore it down. More stories followed. A baker fined for a window decal. A mechanic shut down for excessive noise, despite being within code. I met Marie that night at her office. It's spreading, I said. People are talking. They're scared. They're ready. She sat back. You're not just a guy with a deed anymore. You're a symbol. I shook my head. I didn't ask for that. You didn't have to. As I walked home, I passed the bulletin board outside the library. Someone had pinned a copy of the injunction. Someone else had added. Our voices matter. Speak up. I touched the paper, then looked up at the stars. This is bigger than Evelyn now, I whispered. This is about all of us. David. You need to come now. Marie's voice cracked through the phone. My gut twisted. I didn't ask questions. I just drove. The smoke was already thick by the time I pulled up. Flames had eaten half the barn. Neighbors were standing in a stunned circle, phones out, no one moving. What happened? I shouted, running forward. Fire department's on the way, someone said. I didn't wait. I sprinted toward the back. No, no, no. The roof caved just as I reached the edge. A blast of heat knocked me back. Marie caught up, coughing. Stay back. It's too late. My dad's journals, I choked out. Evelyn's photo albums. Everything was in there. She grabbed my shoulder. We'll rebuild. There. I pointed. That can by the door. That's a gas can. Marie froze. You sure? I locked the tool shed 2 days ago. No one had access but me. Then this wasn't an accident. I stepped forward again. They think they can scare me into backing down. You think it was Gregory? I didn't answer. Just stared into the fire. The next morning, the barn was a skeleton. I sifted through ashes with a rake, hoping for something, anything. David, Marie stood behind me. You're shaking. I knelt in the soot. They burned my history. You're still here. We still have the affidavit. The deed. Everything we need. They knew the court hearings in 3 days. Then they're panicking. I looked up at the charred rafters. They've already lost. They just don't know it yet. Later, I sat on the porch, staring at the blackened hill. My hands were filthy. My chest hollow. They tried to erase me, I whispered. The wind moved through the trees. They tried to destroy us. But all they did was remind me why I have to win. Is that, news cameras? I asked, tightening my tie outside the courthouse. Marie smirked. Looks like word got around. Inside, the room buzzed, neighbors, reporters, even 2 of the former HOA board members I'd never seen leave their porches. Gregory sat near the front, flanked by a sleek defense lawyer in a navy suit. He didn't look at me. Marie leaned over. "Let's end this." We took our seats. The judge called us forward. "Your Honor," Marie began, "we submit video testimony recorded from the notary listed on the HOA annexation form." She clicked the remote. The screen lit up. "I never notarized anything for a Gregory Flint," the woman on screen said. "That's not my signature." Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Gregory shifted. His lawyer whispered furiously in his ear. "Next," Marie said, "is the original deed. Unincorporated, dated 1947. Family-held property. No legal transfer." She handed it to the clerk. And finally, she turned to me. "Mr. Hart, please hand the court your aunt's affidavit." I stood, walked forward, and placed the paper down. "Signed, notarized, and stamped," Marie said. Evelyn Hart's official refusal to join the HOA. The judge adjusted his glasses. "Is the defense prepared to respond?" Gregory's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, while there may be inconsistencies, our client acted in the belief the annexation was valid." I couldn't stay silent. I stood. "Permission to speak, Your Honor." "Granted." I faced the courtroom. My palms were damp, but my voice held. "This land holds my family's stories. My blood runs through those trees. My aunt's wishes are on that paper. She trusted me to protect it. And I will not let greed wipe us off the map." Gregory finally looked up. His face, no longer smug. The judge cleared his throat. "This court finds sufficient cause to grant the injunction. All development must cease pending further review." He banged the gavel once. "A full criminal investigation is hereby launched into the annexation procedure submitted by Willow Heights HOA." I felt my breath return. After weeks of fire, lies, and threats, I could finally breathe. "Did you hear?" Marie's voice buzzed through the line. "Gregory was just arrested." I stopped walking. "Wait, arrested?" "Forgery, fraud, and obstruction. 3 felony counts. They took him out in cuffs this morning." I sat on the porch steps, heart pounding. It's real. It actually happened. And the county revoked all development permits tied to the annexation. That condo project's officially dead. What about the board? 3 members resigned yesterday. 1 issued a public apology. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. 2 weeks later, I stood beneath the old oak. The initials JH were still there, faint but proud. My great-grandfather's mark. Evelyn's nameplate shimmered where we mounted it, clean brass, freshly etched. "Nice turnout," Marie said, walking up beside me. I scanned the crowd. Neighbors. Kids. Even folks I hadn't seen in years. All gathered for something more than just flowers. "Mrs. Langley brought the seeds," I said. "Wildflowers. Evelyn's favorite." Marie smiled. "Seems fitting." Mrs. Langley stepped up, holding a small spade. "Shall we?" She knelt, digging gently into the soft earth. "This," she said softly, "is for every inch of home they tried to take from us." People followed one by one. Seed scattered. Soil pressed down. A boy tugged my sleeve. "Is it true you stopped the bad guys?" I crouched. "I didn't do it alone." He nodded. "You made them go away, though. Like a hero." I smiled. "Heroes don't burn barns. They plant things." Mrs. Langley stood beside me again. "You reminded us what home means." I looked at her, my throat tight. No one should have to fight this hard to protect their past. She touched my arm. "But you did." I turned toward the land. Wind rustled through the trees. "I'd do it again," I said. And I meant every word. "You sure you want the walls bare like this?" Marie asked, brushing dust off her jeans. "Yeah," I said, stepping back to admire the frame. "Let the documents speak for themselves." I pointed. "Evelyn's will. The deed. And the court order." She smiled. "And what's that?" "James' axe," I said. "Found it buried under the floorboards." Marie tilted her head. "That old man had a way of leaving things behind. Apparently, it runs in the family." The barn smelled like cedar again. Fresh. Alive. Not burned. "You turning this into a museum?" she teased. I shook my head. "No. Just a place to remember." That evening, I walked the land, slow and steady. The sun dipped low, bleeding orange through the trees. The wind brushed past my ears. "I hear you, Evelyn," I whispered. "Every time the trees breathe." A flash of movement, Aurora darted past with a fistful of color. "Daddy," she called. "Look. This one's for Grandma Evelyn." She held up a blue wildflower, petals wide like tiny wings. I crouched. "You think she'd like it?" "She loves it," she said, pressing it into my hand. "She told me." I blinked. "She did?" Aurora nodded. "In the wind." I hugged her. "You're something else, you know that?" She giggled and ran off again, chasing butterflies. Marie called from the porch. "You coming in?" "In a minute," I said. I stood alone in the garden. The soft hum of crickets. The rustle of grass. The faint scent of soil. I whispered, "Thank you for choosing me." Because I knew now, it wasn't just land Evelyn gave me. It was a lifeline. To who we were. And who we still are. "Fence looks low," Marie said, watching me hammer the last post. "That's the point," I replied, wiping sweat from my neck. "It's not to keep people out." She nodded. "It's to invite them in." "Exactly. Let them see what's worth remembering." She stepped back. "You really changed, you know." "Yeah," I said quietly. "This whole thing, it stripped me bare. But what's left feels real." She pointed to the garden. "That's your line in the dirt now." "No," I said, smiling. "That's Evelyn's." I walked toward the tree line, hands in my pockets. "She used to say this land had its own heartbeat." Marie followed. "You hear it now? Loud and clear." She paused. "You think it's over? For me? Maybe. For the next person who gets steamrolled by power? Probably not. You'd fight again?" "In a heartbeat." We sat on the porch, the sun warming our faces. "I used to think justice only lived in courtrooms," I said. "Suits. Verdicts. Rules. And now? It starts way before that. With a voice. With someone saying no." Marie glanced over. "You didn't just say no. You screamed it." I chuckled. "And built a garden after." Aurora came running up with dirt on her knees. "Daddy." I made a new sign. She held up a wooden board with crayon letters. "Welcome to Evelyn's land. Be kind or be gone." I read it twice. "That's perfect." Marie laughed. "Future lawyer." "She's already stronger than I was," I said. "She doesn't doubt her right to be here." Marie turned serious. "What do you say to people who are still scared to fight?" I thought for a second. "If someone tries to take your land, your story, your dignity, fight. Even if they're stronger? Especially then." She nodded slowly. And if you lose? You don't lose by standing up. You lose by staying quiet. She looked away, blinking fast. I stood, brushing off my jeans. Truth finds a way. Even buried under concrete and forged signatures. Marie smiled. You're not just talking about land anymore, are you? No, I said. I'm talking about all of it. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves like a memory. Sometimes, I whispered, it takes a cage, a badge, and a promise to break the chains that bind a community. Marie whispered back, and sometimes it just takes one man planting a flag. No, I said. One man planting hope.